Many of us will wake up in the middle of the night, either from a bad dream or without any reason at all, feeling a chill in the air or a worrying feeling in your gut. The time of 3 a.m. is that it is a deliberate mocking of the death of Jesus Christ. Psychics believe that the veil between our world and the spirit world is lifted at this time, and our relaxed state of minds, especially in a state of deep sleep, may be more susceptible to paranormal activity. So if you wake up feeling panicked at this time of the night, you have been visited by a demon or in the company of a spiritual entity. So are we simply waking up at a time when the darkness has reached its peak?
So actually waking at that time can be very uncomfortable. When I worked in a care home, whenever we had a death during the night, because I did night shifts, it did tend to be between 3 and 5.
I do think that maybe in the right place, 3 a.m. could probably be a good time to do an investigation. Hello Spooklets, welcome back to our channel. Tonight we're talking about 3 a.m. 3 a.m. has always interested me, and we actually got onto a conversation in another paranormal chat video, didn't we, about 3 a.m. and it is actually quite interesting. So I have got something up on my phone that I'm going to talk to you about. Lisa's also got something to talk about, but it's interesting. It's all theories, isn't it?
Yeah, the history of it and how it's come about, sort of thing.
Yeah, and the one I'm reading out mainly boils down to religion, doesn't it? And it's, I mean, I'm not a religious person myself, but the theory is interesting to listen to. So I have found this on uknews.yahoo.com. I will link it in the description if you want to have a read yourself. And this piece is by a person called Andy Wells, and it's called The Devil's Hour. This is why you might feel spooked out at 3 a.m. Oh yeah, before we start, if you're new, subscribe. Massive thank you to our channel members, you guys are awesome. Anyway, if you've ever woken up at around 3 in the morning and felt like something wasn't quite right, then you may actually be onto something. It's not just a case of middle of the night jitters, but you are slap bang in the middle of the devil's hour. And if you believe the myths, you may not be alone. The 3 a.m. time slot is regarded by paranormal experts as a time when pure evil, either demons or entities from the spirit world, make their presence felt. Many of us will wake up in the middle of the night, either from a bad dream or without any reason at all, feeling a chill in the air or a worrying feeling in your gut. We might simply put this down to our brains not quite being in state that is able to think rationally, but there are also those who believe the reason is a lot more sinister. The thinking behind the specific time of 3 a.m. is that it is a deliberate mocking of the death of Jesus Christ, who, according to ancient writing, died in the middle of the afternoon at 3 p.m. Just like the turning of the cross upside down is a deliberate lack of humility or respect to Christ, the inversion of 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. is thought to be demons using the opposite hour to torment humans. The number 3 is also synonymous with Christianity, the Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Many horror films have used the Devil's Hour as a, oh my days, what's wrong with me? Pivotal?
Yes.
Oh, pivotal moment. In The Conjuring, the clock stops at 3:07 a.m. and events take a seriously bad turn. Names being called and walls banged 3 times in succession, as seen in the movie, are seen as a direct insult to Christianity, which I have heard of before, if you hear 3 knocks. Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr., the man who inspired the Amityville Horror, murdered 6 members of his own family at 3 in the morning. While multiple strange occurrences take place at around the same time in The Exorcism of Emily Rose, another film supposedly based on true events. But why would this particular time to be the one part of the day we would be visited by the supernatural rather than when we're not asleep? Psychics believe that the veil between our world and the spirit world is lifted at this time, and our relaxed state of minds, especially in a state of deep sleep, may be more susceptible to paranormal activity, which is what we were talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Paranormal researcher Ben Eno, sorry if I haven't read your name right, not that you're watching this, explains the belief in such a time, the devil's hour, could be fueling its power. If you go on thinking something spooky is going to happen, something spooky will probably happen. I quite believe that. So if you wake up feeling panicked at this time of the night, you have been visited by a demon or in the company of a spiritual entities. Avaya Remington, the founder and president of Mystic Investigations, seems to think so. He said, legend has it that if you wake up at exactly 3 a.m. for no reason in a state of terror, then the devil has paid you a visit literally or in your dreams. A mere state of heightened agitation might indicate demonic or poltergeist visitation. There are no doubt many of you who do wake up at around this time every night who might be starting to worry, but there is a scientific explanation to all this. Sleep patterns. After several hours, we may enter a lighter sleep at around this time, meaning we are more prone to waking up easily. Our bodies are also hardwired to wake up as night becomes day, so are we simply waking up at a time when the darkness has reached its peak and daytime is preparing to make an appearance. Whatever the reasons, try not to think too hard about them if you do wake up at 3 a.m. tomorrow, or you'll never get back to sleep.
Right. Well, the thing that I was reading is it basically sort of backs up what you were saying about that a lot of it kind of come from people's religious beliefs.
Yeah.
But that it's more likely to be a sleep thing.
Yeah.
Because this one says that while sleeping, your body goes through different phases of sleep. With each one serving different purposes and affecting the body in different ways. Around 3 a.m, most people are in the middle of a REM cycle, which is the deepest sleep you experience during the night. When in REM sleep, your heart rate drops, your breathing slows, and your body temperature decreases. In addition, many functions in the body are reduced or stopped altogether, including movement of your limbs. So actually waking at that time can be very uncomfortable.
Right, okay. I get it.
The body goes through these changes to help you get as much quality sleep as possible, but it can be concerning when you wake suddenly during that time.
Right.
So that's why when you wake, you can feel really uncomfortable because your body's in such a deep state.
Yeah.
That to wake at that time makes it feel totally abnormal and really uncomfortable, like ominous feeling maybe.
That makes more sense to me than it being the devil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that is a religious thing, though, isn't it?
But then there is the other side to 3 a.m, isn't there? Why, with what it said about the veil thinning?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said in one of the previous videos, when I worked in a care home, whenever we had a death during the night, because I did night shifts, it did tend to be between 3 and 5. I think that is because that is the time that people are at when their bodies.
Your heart rate slows.
Yeah, your heart rate slows and your body's at its most relaxed.
So if you're dying, you're more likely to die at that time.
Yeah. And from a point of view of working nights, between 3 and 5 is the worst time.
As in activity-wise?
For you as a person.
Oh!
As a carer, as a nurse. Oh, it's awful.
I'm trying to keep awake.
Trying to stay awake between 3 and 5 is the worst time because it's like your body is telling you you should be asleep.
Yeah.
And I just remember it. That's the worst time. You used to feel sick. You used to you're sort of desperately trying to stay awake and that. But
do you think a lot kind of revolves then around 3 a.m. when you think about it? I mean, you've got the theories, right? But then, doctors have said that it is a common time to die, which would make hauntings more
relevant
at around 3 a.m. I mean, you think the asylum, would that be the same?
Oh, yeah.
And a care home that
just
we've been to?
In general, I think, anywhere.
Anywhere.
I bet you if they did an investigation of hospitals even.
At 3 a.m?
Yeah.
Around between 3
and 5, I bet you that is probably their busiest time for that sort of thing.
I suppose if you're old, because you're saying about care homes, it's normally old people, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not as strong. So when they go into that deep sleep and their heart's really slowing down, it's almost, you've got to be careful with that sort of heart because it's old and it probably stopped.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It slows down that much.
It slows down too much.
Stop.
You think, like you're saying about older people, and like what, as an older person, like I remember when you used to say about your gran, and she always, she used to be like, and your dad used to say, oh, it'd be nice if she just went in her sleep, and that as working with older people, does tend to be, because you think their bodies have been going, their heart's been beating for all these 80 to 90 years. At some point it's just going to keep slowing down, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
And then it's not going to speed back up, it's just going to stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when they say, oh, they died peacefully in their sleep, it's probably because their heart just slowed down, relaxed, and that was it.
And that's why it's at like 3, 4, 5
Between 3 and 5,
because it's that
your
REM
body
cycle.
Naturally slows itself down because you're in such a deep sleep.
Yeah, it's so relaxed that maybe some people are a bit too relaxed. Like it just
went that little bit too far.
Yeah, a lot of it revolves around 3. I mean, we've all said, haven't we, if a place is haunted, it's haunted, right? But then I think most hauntings are residual and not intelligent.
Yep.
So we still need to do daytime experiment, don't we? Well, a few daytime experiments. Probably the asylum would be probably one of the best places to do a daytime experiment, because we've been there so many times. We know the place, don't we? But I personally think a lot of them are residual hauntings that we come across. I mean, we seem to have had intelligent thrown in, if it's not just coincidence, but I do think a lot of it is residual. People going about their day. But why? At 3 a.m, so if like, say 5 people died in a care home, at 3 a.m, not necessarily the same night, but, why would they haunt at 3 a.m. where they died?
I don't know.
Because you hear so many different theories, don't you, that when people die, they even go back to the age that they were the happiest.
Yeah.
Like, people have seen their nan, but when she was in her 20s, or I've heard so many different stories and theories, and this is why we go out and do what we do, guys, because we're trying to find things, but all we can go on is theories that we can take on into, like, actually, that sounds quite, and our own beliefs and our own experiences.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can call anyone an expert in this field no matter what, because nobody knows what the paranormal is yet. Until,
I know what you mean.
Does that
nobody can explain, is it true, is it not, does it happen, does it not?
No, and it's like,
is there an apparition, is there not?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. And it's like, me and Amy have had this conversation. We won't find out in our lifetime.
I don't know that anybody ever will.
No.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, you think how many hundreds
of
years that people have been like into mediumship or psychic things, but we're no further on really than we were, say, 500 years ago.
But with technology obviously constantly getting better and better, hopefully one day, and you'd like to think that when they do find out, that maybe we've had an impact on that, or Amy's had an impact on that, or Moxley's had an impact. Anybody's had an impact on that.
Anybody who's done an investigation.
And they've seen that and they've thought, right, they got this, so if we do this, I wonder if we get... Do you know what I mean? Like, take on board what we do as investigators. That's the thing. We haven't got hard evident proof that it's real, but there's also no proof that it's not real.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in that middle. For me, we've had more kind of what we call evidence for us that it's real more than it isn't real. But we need hard evidence. I'm going to start putting cameras. I mean, I've put things up, and what you caught on your camera, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I got it, wasn't it? Because we kept hearing the footsteps and stuff.
Yeah, and it is. You've caught some strange things. I've put them on the Facebook page. Don't know.
But when you were saying about like the trolls and stuff, sometimes I've like read things, not necessarily on our.
No.
But like people will just go, "You do know ghosts aren't real," and I'm like, but
prove it.
How can you? No, people like that who just come out with a sentence. Well, why is it not real? You haven't sort of said it's not real because of X, Y, and Z.
Please elaborate. If we get that comment, I'm going to say, can you elaborate, please?
If you're going to say that, you've got to be. I'm going to say to you, well, prove they're not real.
Exactly.
What makes you say
we're trying to prove
real?
they are?
Yeah.
You go out and prove they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah. Going back to 3am though, it confuses me.
We keep getting off on a tangent, don't we?
No, but it's good though. It's good. The 3am confuses me. There's so many. I've heard that the veil's meant to be thinner.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to say we'll do investigations at 3am. I've got kids, guys.
And I can't be awake then.
No, we're meant to be asleep then. Maybe one day.
Call yourself paranormal investigators.
It's
not very hardcore, are you?
We're trying.
We did say about going to Staplewood Woods in a tent, didn't we?
Yeah, that would be good actually, because we could kind of sleep and not sleep. We could have a nap. We could have a nap.
We can take it in turns, staying awake.
Oh, but we'd have to do that, wouldn't we? Bloody dogging.
Oh, yeah, but that's going to be the problem.
Should we pick a different woods?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere else. Yeah.
People in our tent.
I don't wake up at 3am, I don't think.
No, the whole thing about waking up at 3am, I do not believe a demon has come to visit you or the devil or whatever. I don't believe that. I genuinely think scientifically it's because your body is not in a state to be awake.
Yeah.
So you feel ominous, and I personally think that's what it is at 3am. If you're already awake and something happens,
well, that's different. Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
And obviously, for 3am for me, it's more of why a haunting's supposed to be at 3am.
When you say about the veil being at its thinnest, do you mean as in
from their world to ours?
Yeah, like
different planes, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember what I was saying.
Well, the way it said it in one of the articles, it just said about the veil between life and death is at its thinnest.
Yeah, sorry.
Meaning you're more susceptible to the devil coming in to your world.
Well, just spirits,
something
really
disturbing you.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you are, because if you take the two things, the sleep scientific-y stuff, the REM at 3am and your body slowing down, well then I suppose you are at your most vulnerable.
Yeah, that's true actually. Oh, I don't know now.
Not necessarily spiritually, although it could be, but you're vulnerable, aren't you? You're in your deepest sleep. You're paralysed.
That's
like people who have them things where they can't move.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, that I just read a little bit about that. Apparently, that's most likely to happen during REM sleep.
Yeah, but it does happen during REM sleep because they've scientifically proven that your limbs don't move and you're stillest and everything's closed
it's just
down.
Some people suffer with that, don't they? Apparently, you're supposed to once in your lifetime experience sleep paralysis.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But is that just because you woke up during that state?
But your body hasn't.
And your body's like slowly
you're mentally awake,
but your body's not.
Yeah,
because
your
body
meant to hallucinate as well, and that's why people think they're seeing ghosts and they're not. It's hallucination.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You could take the scientific sleep REM 3am thing, that your body is in a totally different state to what you're used to it being in.
Yeah.
It's all slowed down, some parts even shut down for the night.
Yeah.
So if you wake up then, your body, is it not dependent on how quick your body then catches up to the fact that you're awake?
Well, yeah.
I did go through a phase of waking up around sort of 3 and would feel quite quite panicky.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the time it was because that's when you dream the most, is in your REM sleep, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I went through a phase of having like quite vivid dreams, and I would wake up quite panicky. So I don't think it was necessarily, it's 3am, And
it was the dream.
It was the fact that the dream had woke,
Yeah.
or I'd woken up because I needed a pee or whatever,
Yeah.
and I felt quite over it. So I can say I understand why people think that's, but I do think it's more of a mental, physical thing.
Yeah.
That your body is at its deepest sleep.
Yeah.
Because that's when you dream, isn't it? When you REM, and you're in your REM sleep.
I can't really remember.
Do you know I'm a very vivid? I have vivid dreams every night.
Have you always been like that then, dreaming wise?
Vivid dreams. Yeah. There's times where when you think, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example now. I bought digestives yesterday, but I didn't. I dreamt it, but I actually thought I'd bought them.
Right.
And I've often deja vu with a dream before. I can remember at school, I dreamt. Oh, it was actually about my friend Natalie that died last year. It was when I was in primary school. We was in the playground, it was playtime, and she had denim shorts on and she had a t-shirt on with a tiger on. And I said, oh, you've got a tiger on your t-shirt. And she went, rawr, like that. But as soon as she went, rawr, like that, I was like, I've seen this and I've dreamt it. And I've done that a few times as well.
Have you ever had dreams that have come true?
Yes.
Yeah, I have as well.
What is that?
I don't know.
Premonition.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
I had
Precognition.
I had two about people that are
pregnant.
That was that were pregnant. But I also dreamt that they then weren't pregnant, and that is what happened. But I also dreamt about my dad dying.
Wow.
I dreamt that I was stood at the side of his grave.
Yeah.
And it was one of them weird, like you're standing there looking down at the coffin things. And within a couple of weeks, that's when he collapsed. But he didn't die. But he nearly died.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
So, but they're weird.
That is, what was mine? My dad's dad, my granddad Chapman. I'd gone to bed, went to sleep, and I had a dream that I went to see my granddad in his home. And I was at the bottom of these stairs, and I knew where I was. I was in the care home he was in.
Right.
So I went up the stairs knowing exactly where I was. Oh my God, no, I've got it mixed up. I'm so sorry. This was when my nana died. But it is about my granddad, the dream is. Sorry. Right, what it was, sorry guys. So what it was, how old was I when my nana died? 17, 18? I was at the bottom of these stairs and I thought, I'm in my granddad's care home. So I went up the stairs knowing, I remembered that he was at the top of these stairs and there was like a landing, and then I can remember there being glass panelling and a door. You go through the door and you could see, it's like a square landing.
Yeah.
You could see it through the window, this square landing, and doors all the way round, and it was obviously people's rooms. And my granddad's, you go to the top of the stairs, there's the glass panel, right through the door, and his door was like there.
Yeah.
And I got to his door and it was like ajar, and there was a light coming through, but it was like that light, like bright white light. It wasn't a room light. And I opened it. My granddad was sat in his chair and I was around 8 or 9 years old again. And he went like that. I went over and sat on his knee and he told me how proud I am. No, how proud he is of me. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he said to me, Nana will be out of pain soon. And she died a week later.
Oh, that's really funny, isn't it?
Because I remember telling Mum about the dream and she said, oh, don't tell your dad. I said, I won't. Because it was my dad's mum. And then, a week later, Mum was like, she couldn't believe it because of my dream.
How strange.
I don't have dreams like that.
No.
I'm just...
You can't contribute then to
No.
the story.
I either don't dream very much or I don't remember them. Sometimes I do, but not that anything's
like
ever
that.
relevant.
Matt said he don't dream. I says, you will do.
I've had
You just
reoccurring
won't remember.
dreams. Like where you dream the same thing and then you're like, I've dreamt about this before.
Yeah.
But it's not been relevant to life as such.
You know my tattoo on this arm, for in dreams we enter a world entirely our own?
Mm.
It's a Harry Potter quote, guys. Well, no, it's Dumbledore's quote, but it's there not really because I love Harry Potter. It's there because of a dream. I have a reoccurring dream. I haven't actually dreamt about this place for a few months now. It's a reoccurring dream, but the town is the same, but different things happen in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before I got married, I was in the town with Kelly, who I go on a fat walk with, and we went wedding dress shopping. But there's a lady that sits on a bench outside of a flower shop, and she's there every time, but she always says something different. It's not the same. So it's the same place, but it's a different dream. It's ever so weird. And then when I first used to start dreaming about it, I'd do whatever in the town, and then there was like a cobbled path, you know, like the Vale. And you end up on a beach, and there's this big massive bridge, but the steps on the bridge have got gaps, but they were really, really big gaps, and you could fall through them. And I'd climb the steps, and obviously it was horrifying because it would go really high, and there's these gaps, and I'm scared of heights. I'd get to the top eventually, and I could see the bridge then. I'd get halfway through, over the bridge, and I'd wake up every time. So I don't know what's over that bridge. Isn't it weird?
I used to have a recurring dream when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because we had to write a story about a recurring dream, if we had a recurring dream or just a dream. And I got an A for it because I was like really like graphic about basically where we lived. There was like a path, like an alleyway, and I used to be walking down towards my house, down the alleyway, and I could hear somebody walking behind me. And you know, like when you speed up and then they speed up and then you speed up and then they speed up, and by the time you go and you're really running, and you went down and turned left and then left into our garden, and I always remember running towards the door and knowing that this person was right behind me and trying to get in the door, and the only bit that was ever different was the ending.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would get me, sometimes I would get in and that would be the end. Sometimes I would get in and then you would see him looking through the window at you, going to start hitting the door, trying to break the door down. It was always the end that was different.
That's crazy.
But I haven't had that since I was about, I don't know, probably 20.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they have meanings? Oh my
I
god,
don't
that's
know.
That's a whole
That's for
different
another
video.
time.
That's another video, isn't it? Dreams are very weird. What was your reoccurring dream?
Mine?
Yeah.
That I was walking through, like, I suppose it would be a city. There was it was concrete. Everything was concrete, like the floor, the buildings. There was nothing any different. There was no green, no flowers. And
Concrete.
Just concrete everywhere, and I was walking through. That's it. Nothing happened. But I ain't had that for years, but that I've had quite a few times. Just the same dream walking through this concrete city.
You watch tonight.
Should I?
All three of us are going to have our reoccurring dream.
I won't remember it. Don't remember what I did for tea. I don't remember that.
It smelled good.
It was Moroccan lamb.
Lamb.
Yeah.
I like lamb.
Alright.
Or mushrooms.
Good job you ain't getting them in for tea then, wasn't it? I'll give you mushroom and lamb next week.
So to conclude, what do we think about the 3am? With the